The overall composition of, but a substantial number come from former members and leaders of Mkhonto Sizwe, because of a correct observation that in its current configuration and direction, majority of MK members, including those that remain, they are not pleased with the manner in which the organization is run. That is a lot of people had trusted that this is an organization that is going to come in to be a replacement of the disappearing and dissipating former liberation movement, the ANC. But in its current configuration, the MK is not a viable vehicle to fight the battles of the people of South Africa, in its current configuration. And if anyone says such is the case, it's not being truthful. It's not being truthful in terms of how they handle those issues. Look, any member from whichever political organization is welcomed to participate in the Maibuya consultation process. Anyone who will identify with his values and principles is allowed to participate, whether you are from the DA or EFF, from any other organization. One of the principles that is going to guide the process of consultation is being accommodative of everyone. There are certain things which other organizations do which some people are not comfortable with. So we are not going to be closed up and make it impossible for ordinary people to participate. So there is not going to be some strict requirement that your personal conduct must be like this, your hair must be cut like this is the uniform you must wear. We're not going to have that. We're going to be interested in the content of the ideas and the character of people who will participate in the whole process without many restrictions in terms of how they conduct themselves. So this process is open for everyone. You know, if you have a leadership structure of a national organization in South Africa today without religious leaders, then that is not a national and true representative structure of the people of South Africa. More than 80% of the people of South Africa are religious and organized in mostly the category that is understood to be the Christian churches. If the whole political organization that seeks to respond to the aspirations and interests of the people do not have church leaders, it's a wrong organization. Because majority of our people, in all honesty, do not know where to find their public representatives. They don't know where the councillors are. They don't know where their members of provincial legislature are. They don't know where the members of parliament are, because members of parliament, all of them, they are locked in 3 villages in Cape Town. And these members of communities, whenever they've got serious problems, they go to Abafundisi and express their concerns. So Abafundisi know the challenges of our communities and our people far much more deeper than public representatives. In many instances, accessible religious leaders are much more knowledgeable, are much more organic and on the ground than people who are locked in Cape Town, in Acacia Park, Pelican Park, and Laboria Park. And then they say they're public representatives and they are staying in 3 villages in Cape Town, which are locked up, do not have problems of load shedding, do not have problems of water. So if you are a true organization that represents the people, you should be led by people who are leading our people in real terms in different sectors. So that is what is reflected now in the Maibuya. We are in the consultation process of how are we going to respond to the developments in South Africa politically. And we have set the principles that I've mentioned here. We can speak until tomorrow about economic policies and what we should do. But let's allow the people of South Africa to contribute to the economic policy outlook of the Maibuya consultation process. Let the people of South Africa say that we think that you must pursue the following priorities, and this is how we should pursue them. When we come back to the National Convention, after having reported to the Council of Elders, after having to interact with experts and did comparative and comparisons in terms of what works, what doesn't work, we will give out very cogent and coherent policy alternatives to what is happening in South Africa today. So that, the rest assured, is going to be dealt with at the appropriate moment. Personally, I've got a lot of views, but we can't abuse this space to want to just express personal views when we are in a consultation process, particularly in relation to the detail. And that doesn't mean none whatsoever that we do not have economic thoughts. Our economic thoughts, primary principle is redress of the imbalances of the past, is black economic solidarity as well amongst our people to have and achieve collective upliftment of the people. Pastor Zondo is not convicted of any crime. Pastor Zondo is a religious leader who has been leading for a very long time. He has been playing multiple leadership roles in his community and even in the other organizations that we came from. He was coordinating an otherwise very large nationwide inter-religious movement. I almost mentioned it in full name. Inter-religious movement, which and a lot of religious leaders went to him to say that please pay closer attention to this process so that we still have a voice as Abefundisi and people that are looking after a larger sections of our society. So we did not make a mistake. Now, you know, the advantage of, so when I spoke the other time, I was not yet national convener of the Maibuya process. Now I've got the benefit of benefiting from the leadership collective in terms of how we should handle certain things. And part of the guidance which I agreed with is that I must unconditionally retract the statements about drug use of Ntamulondlela. Unconditionally. But, and to stay away from alcohol. But and members of leadership of different political parties. Drugs will not help you with anything, will make you to make a lot of mistakes, but we really unconditionally retract of the leadership. Thank you very much. You know, there's a question about cult and whether we are about to speak. So you see, there's a video which is circulated. So when I was in the ye-EFF, I was asked on 2 different occasions by J.J. Taban if the ye-EFF is a cult organization, because a lot of people were observing from outside. And of course, as a deputy president at that time, I said there's no cult. And said, no, they were democratic. But what is very interesting is that J.J. Taban offers PR services to the ye-EFF. So, in his private capacity, he's a PR consultant. And then as a journalist, he asks you if there's a cult so that he can clean up the... And then I became used as part of the PR paid work as well on different platforms. That is what we were dealing with. And thank you to ACTV that we should optimally utilize the broadcast space. We must not rely on the mediated platforms. We should go direct in terms of how do we have got tremendous experience from amongst the leadership of Maibuya consultation process. Like too much media experience that we will responsibly use to reach out to as many people as possible. If you were to combine the experiences of Sydney and Kuzana, of Luther, and everyone else that is in at the forefront of this process. They know what they're dealing with. So we will communicate much more responsibly. This illustration, I don't know if it's a logo, this thing, it's an illustration. It's an illustration of my consultation process. So whenever you see that, you must know that the consultation process is there on how we'll then deal with those issues. The policy direction of my if it constitutes itself into a political party, will be guided by all the people of South Africa. All. Yes. So this consultation will shape our policy perspective and approach. It's not just going to be the pastors, everyone we're going to listen to. We're going to listen to all sectors of society to shape the perspective of the organization. There can be attempts on TikTok and Facebook to try to speak bad about us, but it won't go anywhere, because I said in the last press conference that I never ever have sleepless nights because there is nothing I do in private which I cannot own up in public. Nothing. There is nothing, there's absolutely nothing. Everything else that I do, including personal relations, including attempts to do business, it's something which if I'm asked publicly, I'm able to own up to fully. I don't have secrets. And not that I go around disclosing people's issues, but there's nothing that I'm hiding from anyone in terms of the issues that we're dealing with. So if people want to go and say whatever they want to say, let them do that. Like, I think I'm part of a generation as well which got to be pioneer in terms of the relationship between political parties and social media. Like, at some stage, we were possibly the only political organization in formation when I was a national spokesperson of the ANC Youth League, which had social media platforms, only political component in South Africa. When Twitter was still at its early stages and Facebook was still at early stages, to the extent that even the leadership at that time was not comfortable with our role in the communications department using social media as part of political communication. To the extent that at some stage one person said, yeah, we must close down this Twitter, the whole of South Africa. So from that point of view, like, and when we started the e-EFF, I was responsible for social media of the e-EFF alone. And people were saying that this social media of e-EFF is powerful. All those accounts, including of the leader, it's my account. And ran South Africa through social media. Like, so I know what social media does and how it can be used effectively. He was not on social media when we started the e-EFF. I want to get that account and say, no, this is how we must use it. This is how we deal with these issues. So there's no social media which is going to undermine us. No way. We are miles ahead in terms of social media usage. We pioneered political communication and social media. If we wanted to write books about that, you can go and check in the archives of communication politically. We dealt with that far much earlier before political parties could accept that they can have a Twitter handle or a Facebook page and all of those things. We're doing that far much earlier in our earlier lives in terms of what happens. I did say in several occasions, and I'll stick by that, that the relationship between myself and President Zuma is a respectful relationship which will remain as such forever. We'll always respect President Zuma. The office of President Zuma and the people that work through him and the people that we sometimes communicate through when he cannot talk to me directly have on several occasions since the 19th of June's press conference said that President Zuma is asking for a meeting. And I indicated that it will not be possible to go to meet with him in KwaZulu-Natal because there were several meetings and engagements which we had here in Gauteng, and indicated that if and when we finish this process, I will not have a problem to go and appraise President Zuma that we are in a process of consultation. And this consultation might culminate in formation of a political party or a movement. I did say that this is not some secretive engagement. It's not an underground movement. It's an open engagement of persuasion in terms of how to move forward. And no one must feel guilty to be associated with this process. We will appraise him and will tell him the reasons why we think that the MK in its current configuration can be a trusted weapon in the hands of the people of South Africa. And it's not a critique that we are saying in secret. We're not gossiping. We can write perspectives. We can give even far much more deeper confidential information as to why an organization in its current configuration can't lead a liberation project. It's not a secret talk. It's an open talk which will raise with him that this is what is, and he's aware of the dynamics that are at play. And majority of members of the organization know that the internal dynamics inhibit it or makes it impossible for it to be a fighting instrument as a collective. There can't be a movement that will fight for people's liberation if it is not defined by a deep sense of internal discipline and stability. There can't be a movement that can fight for true freedom if it's not transparent and accountable. There can be a liberation project that is led by a family. There can be a democratic liberation project that is not a unitary formation with democratic centralism. Never. How are you going to process, how are you going to provide collective guidance? Because you will leave a meeting and think that you have agreed on a perspective of how we move forward. And then the families sit over dinner and say, no, those decisions that they've taken are nonsense all over. And that time, you are busy communicating to structures that, no, next week we are going to start a new campaign on how we are going to respond to crime. Then they say, no, leave these things of crime. It's not priority. Let's focus on Morocco. So, that, like, you can't have an instrument like that as a fighting instrument. And that is honest, it's critique that we will give openly. It's not, if there's one thing which we not afraid of is to talk. That one you must be rest assured, like even when we're in the leadership, even in officials, Magubane knows, was a TG, we're sitting together, national officials, like, we robustly engage. Sometimes it will become difficult because you will find some of our colleagues, because maybe of age, they made like serious mistakes, and you must come in as Secretary General to now enforce discipline. But how do you, when you say you must go and communicate a decision, and then you come back to us and say, no, that decision that you said I must go and communicate, now I'm representing those people you sent me to. That is what we deal with. That you said to go and communicate to this structure or to this group of people that this is what we have resolved as officials. And a person comes back and says, no, they actually now I'm representing those ones, not you. And those are the dynamics that we deal with. So with President Zuma, any day, any time, there's one or two things that you will have a different appreciation of. But one thing that will never happen is to abandon this process of consultation. That one will never do. This one will never change. We're going to listen to the people of South Africa, and if our qualitative and quantitative assessment is that we should form a political party or a political movement, we're going to do so. Even when we do so, we will inform him officially that we're not fighting with you, we're not fighting with MK. You can continue doing what you're doing. We're going to do what we think is right for the people of South Africa. That is the approach that we're going to deal with. I don't know what is this thing of saying, no, there's no time, there's no money and everything else. I'm not doing this for the first time myself. Yeah, not doing it for the first time. issued a statement for the clarion call for the formation of the EFF on the 11th of June 2013, launched it on the 26th, 27th July in Soweto, Uncle Tom's Hall, launched it publicly in Marikana in October 13. And before even the organization was 12 months of announcement, it was contesting elections on the 7th of May 2014 and received 1.1 million votes. And that, of course, was part of the collective effort in terms of the work that was done. So I'm not unfamiliar to this territory. We have got more than 12 months to prepare for local government elections. If we were to agree on formation of a party and contestation of local government elections, we're going to do very well. The good thing is that majority of us here, let's pray, we're going to be there when the election results are announced. And there are people who think that we do not know what we're doing. We know what we're doing. We ran elections with little or no resources before. Even when there were resources at central level, sometimes some of us will be deployed in provinces where we will not be given resources to run elections. We'll raise money and still lead the best performing provinces. All the provinces that will be deployed to. During my time in the EFF, each and every province was deployed to preside over elections was the best performing. Without any centralized resource. So there is no fear about the work that we're going to do. Those that have worked with us know that we will consistently be on the ground to guide structures. We will come out of this process victorious. And we will be able to demonstrate to the people of South Africa that there is an alternate program and vision that can be pursued, unlike what we are subjected to now of cults, of family projects, and directionless organizations. Thank you very much.